Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. It is that time once again to take a look at the best champions as of right now, patch 7.23. This is the patch that Zoe did come out, and so we're obviously going to be talking about her as well. If you guys end up enjoying this video, then definitely hit that like button to let me know. But this video will be made in collaboration with Pro Guides as per usual. A very familiar name. It is a website that tries to improve your overall gameplay and knowledge of League of Legends. I have a link to their website down below for a free trial. Highly recommend checking it out. But without much further ado, let's get right into it. So starting things off, let us quickly talk about Zoe, the newest champion in League of Legends. So her win rate at the very moment is sitting around a mid 45%, which honestly, considering she is a fairly difficult champion, isn't all that bad for a new champion. That's actually quite a good sign, and also potentially a sign that lets us know that Zoe might actually be OP. So expect some nerfs for her to come within about a patch or two once people actually finally understand the champion and they start doing things that honestly shouldn't even be done. In my opinion, the champion is very, very strong. I mean, once you understand how to play her and once you actually learn her and give the time to actually properly play her, you are going to be so insanely strong. You'll be doing so many crazy things. You'll be doing so much damage. Her E potential with the pick is just ridiculous, and she's just extremely obnoxious to face, and I'm sure a lot of you can agree if you faced a Zoe player that actually understood how the champion works. But with all that being said and done, let's take a quick look at the build that you want to run whenever playing this champion if you somehow get her in ranked. Arcane Comet is going to be usually your keystone of choice. It just works well and it just does a lot of damage, and it's very, very useful. Manifold Band, Celerity, Scorch are all great, while going to the Inspiration Tree with Cosmic Insight and either Perfect Timing or the Magical Boots are all quite good options. But let us stay in the mid lane for just a bit and talk about one more champion, Katarina. I did talk about Katarina before because she was really, really strong, and it seems like nothing about that has changed whatsoever. She is still very, very good. Mainly because Electrocute is just fantastic on her. Getting things like Sudden Impact just works tremendously on her. Ravenous Hunter also being extremely strong. And honestly, Ravenous Hunter plus Gunblade with someone that has a lot of mixed damage like Katarina does is just so much lifesteal and spell vamp, it's almost kind of OP. All in all, Katarina is just sitting at a way too high win rate for a champion that is fairly difficult and also an assassin, so there are just simply so many signs that point to the fact that she is definitely on the stronger end, and she's a champion that you may definitely want to watch out for if not already banned. But with all that being said and done, let's take a quick look at the build whenever playing Katarina. Like I said, Electrocute being your keystone of choice with Sudden Impact, Zombie Ward being easily the best of the three, with Ravenous Hunter again combined with Gunblade, and even if you get a Spirit Visage, your lifesteal and spell vamp is going to be completely through the roof. Sorcery being your second option, going for the Nullifying Orb and also going for Scorch. But let's move our way all the way to the top lane to talk about a few champions, the first of which being Pantheon. There's two different paths that you can take whenever playing Pantheon, whether you want to be a bit more dominant in laning phase and have obnoxious poke, or if you want to just go straight up full damage assassin, just killing someone as fast as possible. But regardless of which path you take, Pantheon is a very good champion at the very moment. Because the runes help him do a lot of damage in the laning phase, you can also go for the path, which the assassin path works very well with, for a build that scales decently well into the later parts of the game and still doing quite a bit of damage. All in all, I mean, this guy is just very good in the meta. The runes fit him quite well. He has several options you can take. So with the two options being mentioned, let's quickly take a look at them and what they are exactly. Option 1 is going Summon Aerie in the laning phase because it helps your Q poke so much that it just makes it flat out better. It just adds essentially base damage to your Q, which is always a good thing considering the Q already does quite a bit of damage. Manifold Band is fantastic for Pantheon because it helps your laning phase so much not to run out of mana, which was one of Pantheon's biggest issues. But if you really, really want to, you can definitely go Ultimate Hat, though Manifold Band will work better in more scenarios. Absolute Focus, since usually in the laning phase you will be above 70% HP since you have so much pressure, and also when you gank with your ultimate, the extra damage from Absolute Focus will help you a lot to just get that extra burst in to kill your target even faster. Scourge being without question the best one as well. Following this, you can go into the Precision path going for Triumph and Coup de Grace. Option 2 is somewhat similar, but in this case you're actually going for Electrocute just for the extra added assassin burst damage while having Electrocute scale decently well to where you won't really fall off as much. Sudden Impact obviously being fantastic, Eyeball Collection or Zombie Ward is great, Ravenous Hunter since you use a lot of abilities so you'll get a lot of lifesteal, and for the second path, Manifold Band, Scorch, for sure without question the best choices. Next in line for the top lane, we have to talk about Yorick. Now, I talked about him in the previous video where I talked about the best champions for the previous patch, and I'm still talking about him now. He hasn't received nerfs. Nothing really that Yorick builds or the runes he takes has actually been really changed at all, so Yorick is still very much Yorick. He's still very strong, still has great dueling potential, still has massive tower taking potential as well, and this guy is just not someone you want to mess with. There isn't a whole lot more to say about Yorick that I haven't said in the previous video other than what I just said as well, so let's just quickly jump into the runes. Grass Grasp of the Undying is going to be usually your keystone of choice. Demolish is what lets you just completely annihilate towers, since this Q also works on towers. Iron Skin and Second Wind are both great options, though again, Iron Skin is just dependent on who you're facing. And then jumping into the Precision tree, taking Triumph, because Triumph is pretty much overpowered, and Coup de Grace. And the final champion I want to talk about over in the top lane is going to be none other than Mr. Oren himself. Now, looking at just win rates alone, it doesn't seem like Oren's win rate is honestly anything substantial. I mean, sure, it's still above 50%, around 51 or 52, which is honestly quite good, but it's not in the top 10 or maybe even top 5 list of champions for top lane, just based off win rate alone. But he does have a decently high play rate, so with that being said, he's in a very good spot at the very moment. Personally, I actually think Oren is quite overpowered. He's got great base damage coming out of his W, got percent damage as well. His E ability's AoE is massive and is extremely useful, and I honestly think he has one of the best ultimates in the entire game. So overall, this guy just having good damage, great percent damage from his W, and just being very, very hard to kill, scales really well, gives himself and his allies the option to buy an even better item or a better version of it, which again, the other team is just simply not going to be able to do. It's just so many good things coming out of this champion. His ultimate can literally win teamfights just from the ultimate alone. All in all, just a fantastic champion, and you definitely don't want to see a person that is very skilled on Oren facing you. So with that being said and done, let's take a quick look at the build for this champion. A Grasp of the Undying is going to be your keystone of choice, followed by Unflinching, Iron Skin, and Overgrowth. For the second option, you want to go into Sorcery, get the Nullifying Orb if you're facing an enemy champion that does magic damage, and Scorch, just helping your laning phase that much more. Next up, let's move over to the jungle, because there's, as usual, a few champions to talk about. The first champion I want to bring up is going to be Shyvana. Now, this is a champion I did not think I'll be talking about for a very, very long time, but Shyvana is finally finding her time to shine. Shyvana is insanely strong with press the attack, since a single auto attack into a Q will just instantly proc it and do so much damage. Getting things like Legend Alacrity gives her so much more attack speed, which she works very well with. She can solo dragons among the earliest of all junglers, and she gets extra stats from it. She can clear her jungle extremely fast as well, and even though she's not known to really gank that often, she's one of those junglers where by the time you finally see her, again assuming she's on the enemy team, she's gonna be pretty damn strong and almost impossible to stop. All in all, Shyvana is definitely making a comeback, so this is a champion you may want to start watching out for. But let's quickly dive into what kind of build that you want to run whenever playing this champion. Like I said, Press Attack is going to be your keystone of choice, followed by Triumph, Legend Alacrity, and Coup de Grace. Then you'll be going into the Resolve tree, getting that extra 18% attack speed that Shyvana just loves. Getting things like Conditioning and Overgrowth will help you quite a bit. All these put together will make you someone that deals not only a lot of damage, but also be surprisingly pretty tanky. Next on the list, and also a jungler, we have to talk about Mr. Xin Zhao. This guy is just completely destroying it at the very moment. He is so damn strong, it's almost unfair. I've seen so many Zins do level 2 ganks, maybe do red buff, do blue buff, and just go straight for mid or top or bot or one of the lanes and just dive in there, and you do so much damage. With your E and your Q, you have 2 CCs already and even a slow, and also you have a knockup. And the damage that he can do with press the attack is just so high that, I mean, it's just almost unmatched. It's pretty damn strong, and this is a champion that also does a lot of damage in the mid game. This one's coming from a lot of personal experience. I faced and had so many Xin Zhaos in my games that, my goodness, this champion, if you know what you're doing and if you play him correctly, can do so much. Just a lot of damage, great wave clear, great ganking potential, and even scales decently well. So with all that being said, let's take a look at the build. Press the attack, of course, being your keystone of choice, followed by Triumph because it's OP, Legend Alacrity, also OP, and Coup de Grace, probably the best of the 3. Then you'll be going into the Domination path as your second tree, and you'll be getting Sudden Impact for obvious reasons, combining with his E, and Relentless Hunter, since you'll be so damn fast running around the map, getting ganks off left and right, and you'll just be everywhere at the same time. Now, the last champion I want to talk with you guys about before I go into some honorable mentions is going to be Leona, down in the bot lane for the support. Leona by far is the best support champion at the very moment. Whether it's win rate or whether it's just personal experience, this champion is pretty busted. She not only is just exceptionally tanky, especially if you're ahead, but she actually does quite a bit of damage with the new runes, and she has obviously the chain CC lock. She has a lot of pressure in the laning phase, obviously having a very nice and useful gap close being her E ability, and just a lot of damage in her kit overall. Her new passive gives her allies so much more damage when they proc it, even though they have less time to do so. And I mean, there are some nerfs coming to Leona on the PvE server, I believe, so if you're a Leona player, this is going to be the time you want to start spamming this champion before the nerfs finally hit her. So let's take a very quick look at the build whenever playing this champion. Like I said, Aftershock is going to be the best keystone for Leona by far. Following that up, you want to go for something like Font of Life, Iron Skin, and Second Wind. Next up, you'll be going for Cheap Shot and Relentless Hunter in the nomination path, because Cheap Shot in the laning phase will give you so much extra damage to add on the already high damage you already have, and the extra damage you give to your ADC to proc with your passive, that you'll be doing an obscene amount of damage. Now very quickly, some honorable mentions, the first of which being Ezreal. Ezreal is still by far probably the best ADC by far with Kleptomancy and his Q ability, and I put him in honorable mentions because I thought that was quite obvious and I wanted to make room for other champions, but Ezreal for ADCs is the best. Next honorable mention is going to be Kindred, that I did talk about in the previous best champions video last week. They are also making a return, and with Press the Attack, they're very strong. Honorable mention number 3 is going to be Malzahar for the mid lane, also quite obvious, did talk about him before, but with Summon Aerie, this guy is not only very easy to play, but also very strong. And the final honorable mention is going to be Teemo in the top lane, or even in the mid lane if you really want to. Also going for Summon Aerie, very similar reasons to Malzahar. The dot damage just works tremendously since you can double proc the Aerie and it does a lot of damage, very easy to play, and is very effective. But either way guys, there you have it, the best champions for patch 7.23. If you did enjoy this video, then make sure to hit it with that like button to show your support. Make sure to share this with your friends so everyone else knows what the best champions are and what champions to watch out for. But thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you for the next video. Peace.